why he does what he does.
Hey everybody, it's a pleasure to meet you. So again, my name is Khalil Cage. Most people might know me as Just Cuz, just a collection of seeds. I am a spoken word artist, a writer, a performer. And so basically, we created the Sparrow's Fortune, which is an organization made up of artists and creatives, where basically our mission is to inspire, encourage, and educate our community through arts, entertainment, and creative writing workshops. So yeah, it was a passion project that started, I want to say, really in January, but we really got started back in April last year. So it's a full circle moment to be able to be here and share a little bit about the work that we do at the Sparrow's Fortune.
So, what all have you started doing? How did you bring together Sparrow's Fortune? Who did you look to help you build and create Sparrow's Fortune?
Um, it really started is just looking at different artists in the community who are already doing work, getting everything solidified. And my best homie, Morgan Page here, was one of the artists who she was already doing work in the community, already making things happen. So I was like, okay, like this might be somebody who like I admire the work that she does, similar to Avery Lamar Pope, similar to Quiet Kids, similar to Mixed Rose. And I saw everybody kind of in their own pocket, and I thought about what it meant to for everybody to be individuals, but also come together as a collective. So I kind of just reached out to each one of them, kind of just like, hey, this is an idea I got. You let me know how you feel about it. And it just worked out to where I showed them kind of my ideas. Or you got to write everything down. That's really big to me. Is writing down your ideas, your thoughts, your passion. So I wrote it down and I sent it to them. Like, all right, y'all check it out. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all ask any questions, and we all came together. It was a meeting. I want to say sometime in February, at my living room, and I was like, so we locked in. Everybody's like, yeah, I like it, and so we've been rolling from there. So it's a blessing. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me this: what is a poet to you? What is a spoken word artist to you?
I think a poet is somebody who is a storyteller through words, um, in the means of telling their story, but also being able to find the small nuances to tell somebody else's story. Like there are so many specific instances in my life where you would think I felt by myself, but this is where being a spoken word artist come in, and being able to take that poetry that's been written and to craft it in such a way that it paints a very vivid picture for the audience, for the listeners, for people to really latch onto and see themselves in my place, or at least see stories of those within their lives in my place too. So I would say that that's a poet is a writer of the time to be able to like really share their story in a written form, but then as a spoken word artist to be able to craft that story into a verbal language, into a body language that it can be interpreted with audiences.
Okay. Okay. So we brought in one of your collaborators, one of your um, artists, poets, spoken word artists, Miss Morgan Page. Please tell us what you do as a poet and spoken word artist, and why you came to join Khalil with the Sparrow's Fortune.
Hey y'all.
Go ahead.
Hey. Hey y'all. My name is Morgan Page. I am a spoken word artist, a poet, founder, co-founder, directing manager of the Sparrow's Fortune, co-founder of Poetry Unplugged. I'm an educator with the Sparrow's Fortune as well. Um, Basically, Khalil reached out and he asked me to be a part of the Sparrow's Fortune, and I've been wanting for a long time. Actually, in 2020, I've been wanting to be a part of a collective and collaborate with other artists. Because once you start doing it, you're coming out as an artist alone. You kind of want to stretch yourself a little bit to be able to see if you can write with other people and create with other people. And that's where I came to my artistry. at the end of 2020. So when he asked me in 2021, it was like heaven sent to be amongst four other artists to be able to collaborate and create with. So I was super excited about that. And ever since, I mean, me and Khalil just been able to really just thrive and just bounce ideas off of each other and be able to work with one another on multiple projects. So I'm really grateful for that. When I think about what a poet means to me, I think being a poet is really being able to reflect and grasp your emotions in a creative way. So being able to express that um, on paper, how you feel, or what you're seeing, and really being able to grasp what you want to say if you decide to share it. Spoken word artists, being able to relate to other people and seeing how other people relate to you with what you're saying out loud, and also being able to um, give other people a voice where they may not have the confidence to share how they feel, but once you perform it, you get to see at the end how many people can relate and be able to share space and you know be compassionate about other people's feelings too, because you see that you didn't go through this alone, but gave other people a voice to be able to say what they didn't have the capacity to express themselves.
And I hope I don't get myself trapped up in a booby trap myself in a tangent here, but I can relate to exactly what you all are saying because in 2004 I started doing stand up comedy, and I would go out to open mics like what you all are describing, how you all met each other and so forth. And I went to an open mic, and it was there were poets there, and I almost don't want to say her name for fear of butchering her name. Isa something was her name, and she started, and she just was going on and on and on. She just went on this unbelievable dope, came up with this dope poem on the fly, and at the end of it, she came to me and she was like, "You gave me so much inspiration sitting there." And she was like, all of that came out. It just came from you being here, being in this room. So again, to hear you all talk about what does it mean to be a poet, and I ask that because to some extent I want to see what's the difference with like being a comedian. Because it's still about writing. It's still about kind of telling a story. And so I wanted to see the parallels between those two, but I'll never forget that young lady. I mean, she was just so unbelievable. That poem that she came up with, and it gave me a completely, newfound, love and interest for poetry because it let me know that when you see people on the streets doing poetry, you see people doing poetry slams and all of that, that it is coming from someplace and it's not just something they just, made up on the fly. It's not something corny.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear, that's why I want you all to explain what does it mean, to you. Because just like I can describe comedy, and it may be different for another comedian. So tell me how you first, Khalil, how you go about writing your poetry. So if you're gonna go to a poetry slam, open mic event, what are you preparing to do to engage with the audience?
Um, I think it starts with, like you said, that inspiration. Like, I think it's inspiration, but then also experiences. That's like a good combination of how at least my work is created. Um, I might, like, similar to, like, seeing other artists. Like, I'm inspired by Morgan. Like, watching her do her thing, watching Ave, watching Quiet Kid, watching plenty of other poets as well do they work. It's like, wow, that touched me. You know what I mean? Or even like you see me at Lacey's event, the exhibition that happened, and even going to museums and being at galleries, I might be inspired just by an art piece. and just societal issues. You know what I mean? Different things that might be happening politically, socially, economically, and again, my own experiences, my childhood, different mistakes I might have made, different triumphs or successes. A lot of those get kind of pushed into my work, really. And so as I meditate and sit and reflect, and it may be a book that might trigger a thought that comes to mind. It's like, oh, I should write about that. And so I sit with thoughts. I meditate. I got a little notebook. So actually, this little notebook right here, like when I have a thought, I write it down and just let it sit. I think sometimes we can be in the process of wanting to create just to make it be something. But there's also joy I found in just allowing the art to live for a minute by itself, like without touching it. And as I'm preparing for a show, preparing for open mic, um, capital S. Yeah, the words kind of, the poems write themselves. I'm like, I think for me, my art has taken a spiritual route to where it's a lot more intuitive. It's a lot more free flowing to where I promise you, the poems just come. I don't, I don't force them. I don't overstudy. I do. It's good to study your craft and practice and the like. But when I'm inspired, I get to work, I go into the lab, what I call it, and then after that, it creates a life of its own, and then it lives. And so as I get ready to interact with other artists or interact with the audiences, I call it like it's in my body at that point. Like it becomes a living part of who I am. So by the time I'm actually performing it or saying it, then it's alive, and people are picking up on those living words at that point.
All right. Morgan, tell me about what you do, what type of planning and preparation, thought process you're going through when you're preparing for a poetry open mic or a poetry slam or a poetry event.
Really, I would say 2022 was like the first year I started actually writing about myself. 2022, I contacted Khalil like, hey, how did you start writing about your childhood trauma and stuff like that? Because I really wanted to dive into myself and dive into my childhood trauma. So I think that for me, what really prepares me for like open mic or a performance or anything of that nature is really, you know, getting a feel of what I want to say and how I want the audience to be impacted. I think that's super important. As an artist, we have a responsibility to reflect the times, like you said before, but also be able to, you know, open or cultivate mindsets or influence mindsets to not just think in one way, but giving them options and opportunities to think another way. So I think that me really just thinking about and meditating on what I want to actually say and how I want to influence this audience or inspire this audience, depending on what type of show it is, because you also have to analyze what kind of show it is and who your audience is prior to before you start performing just anything, because some people um, aren't able to open up their minds that far to think to some lengths of where poetry can go, because it can get super deep. It's very vulnerable. Poetry is a very vulnerable craft and medium of art. So I think that once you start hitting certain things and hitting certain emotions on the tail or hitting certain traumas, um, or diving into those traumas, it can get pretty uncomfortable for some people who haven't, went that deep within themselves yet. So I think that one thing for me is just being able to analyze the audience. Uh, I've come to a point where I haven't felt nervous because I feel like I've been doing it for so long, and I feel like I've shared all my like deepest, darkest secrets with audiences now. So it's kind of like it's not like a nerve wracking thing. It's more so just analyzing what type of crowd there may be, and just really seeing how I want to reflect the times in that moment.
Yeah, that's real. Careful selection.
Yeah, that's really again, it's very insightful and interesting to hear because, again, as a comedian, one thing I do try to be very mindful of is the audience. And again, starting to do freelance journalism has really opened my eyes to see that, you know, the more people you meet and you see those commonalities there, at least those parallels as well. And so, like you say, like what you talk about, Khalil, I can definitely relate to what you're talking about because I write scripts. And a big part of writing, whether it's a TV pilot or a film script, it wants you to have an outline. But I'm sort of like Khalil in one sense. I've thought about these things so many times. Being so observant helps you as a writer.
Yes.
And so when I write, like I just had an assignment and I just wrote like 10 pages for the script. But it was just a lot of stuff I had already thought about and then, already. So I didn't really need an outline. Now I'm in trouble because I can't do this whole outline to flesh out all the stuff they want me to talk about. But it's like, even when I start the outline, the dialogue between the actors just came to me. Yeah. And so I have sort of that part, like what you're saying, Khalil. So I definitely can appreciate that. And then Morgan, what you're saying, I'm a big proponent of knowing the audience. Yeah. And saying what will appeal to this audience, and being able to do that on the fly. That's when you're like really good. You're able to walk in and like what Khalil was saying, those lived experiences and all of that stuff bring you through. And then even the way you describe what poetry and a spoken word artist is, Khalil, is kind of merging and bouncing off your experiences with other people's, right? So now tell me, Khalil, about the three different shows you all have started with the Sparrows Fortune.
Definitely. So the first one was the introduction, and that was kind of like, welcome to the Sparrows Fortune. That was kind of like, this is who each of us are individually, and then this is how we work as a team. This is what it looks like when artists come together and we push aside our egos, we push aside our ideas of who we are outside of a collective. This is what we can do. So that introduction was kind of like, hey y'all, what's up? And so thankfully we've been able to execute that show in Cleveland and Columbus. Definitely want to be able to take it on the road even further than that.
How many people participated in it? Where was it at? How long was the show?
So our shows normally run for about, I want to say, in total, an hour and a half, but we normally split that up with like intermission. So part one, part two. So yeah, just about hour and a half to 2 hours per show. And it also depends on who's collaborating on the show, for instance. So with the introduction, it was all five of us. Whereas so our second show was Bear in the Flesh. And that was a show that Morgan and I did. So it was a lot more out of us. So we split it up into three parts. And we really create our show. So that was the introduction. And we did that at Breakthrough Sounds Recording Studio. We have a really good relationship with them. They do excellent work as far as recording. We actually just recorded an album there. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, Breakthrough Sounds is fantastic. Down in Columbus, we executed the show at Roy G. Biv Art Gallery. Another Lynette, I love Lynette. So that's another great space to utilize. That's what we did with the introduction. The second show, Bear in the Flesh, was a show that Morgan and I created. We kind of talked about what it meant to be in a relationship and the struggles that go on within the relationship when you're trying to be an individual and allow yourself to grow, and then also allow your person to grow in the difficulties, the challenges that you may face, and still working at it without giving up. So that's one of my favorite shows. Then our other show, Hear Me Out, that was much more so geared toward Black spirituality, Blackness, the triumphs that come with being Black here in America. And that show kind of came through myself, Morgan Page, and Avery Lamar Pope. So that was another great show. We did that one in Cleveland at Breakthrough Sounds Recording Studio, and then actually back in February, we were able to take that to Kent State University and did that show there too. So that was really fun. That was great to do at both spots. And then I'll double back to there really quick because that's what we just recorded. So Morgan and I were able to me and Morgan, we just bounce ideas over each other. Like we'll sit if you sit us in a room and we like, oh, what about this? Oh, we could do this. Like so, that's really how Bear came to be and everything we've been able to do with it since. So we did that. First, we did it in Columbus in September, and then November came around. We did that here in Cleveland at Jackson's Motif, which is a social lounge. So we executed that there, and afterwards we were kind of just talking, having a conversation, and in one of the sections we had a song that it wasn't a song, it was poems that we said over like an instrumental, and we was just going back and forth like, what if we did an album with it? And I think it was Morgan's idea to do it, and I was like, hey, an album would go crazy, really. So we kind of was like, all right, let's do it. So we was talking, trying to plot and plan, and then earlier this year, we reached out to Charles at Breakthrough Sounds, and was like, yeah, let's do it, let's get into it. So we scheduled it, got everything put together, and we executed it actually last Monday. So April 10th, we sat 8 hours, 9 hours, and just did it with a live band. So it's coming soon. It's gonna be June 9th. Am I correct? June 9th. A live studio. How you say it?
Live studio album. Bear in the Flesh live studio album will be out June 9th. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. So
Now, one thing I like to do is when, I have people that are having the same experience or in a similar space, I should say. One thing I like is for each person to talk about their experience. And so that it doesn't seem like it's a monolith, that this was the event, this was the Sparrow's Fortune intro event, then our Bear in the Flesh, and then Hear Me Out.
Yeah.
So now, Morgan, I want you to talk about what was it like to plan those three events, be a part of them, and what did you do? And what did you learn from them? And I probably should ask that last separate question for both of you.
So the introduction, it was our first show. It was like our coming out show. So we basically introduced ourselves as individual artists and then us as a group. So we were able to say like, this is how we work together. This is who we are in this group. This is how we add to this group, and what we bring as an artist and as the group. And then I think that I really enjoyed that show because you just seen all of our personalities really shine through. You've seen our attitudes. I think that from then to Bear, people have been saying like you and Khalil, like y'all, the way that y'all write, it just works together. Y'all should do a project. Like y'all should do your own show. Everybody kept on saying that. Like a lot of our poems just go well with each other. So we was like, okay, we're gonna plan a show. So we started writing, and then we at first started writing. We had an idea about it, and then it was like, I don't want it to be like the same old relationship, playful thing. Like let's really get deep into this. And well, I was like, first we need to start off with like talking about like our trauma, so who we are before we get into the relationship, and then we journeyed through that, and then we like who we are in the relationship and what we're realizing about ourselves once we haven't healed from those traumas, those childhood trauma things that we went through. And then we got into that middle, and the beginning is really heavy there. So it's really heavy. We had people crying the first part of the show, so we did an intermission after 4 poems. And then then that middle part is it's kind of heavy too, because it's like dang, like it's really going through therapy. The whole project. That middle part is like the therapy part, like we're realizing things about ourselves that was caused by the childhood trauma, and we're starting to see it in a relationship. And then the last part is really going through that counseling and therapy, and then going through seeing the healing stage of what really taking a look at yourself apart from your partner, and taking a look at yourself with your partner, and then being able to say, oh, there's some things that I need to change, there's some areas that I need to grow in. So I really enjoy that show. I'm very, very proud of what we did with that. When I think about Hear Me Out, that's not my favorite show. I'll say that. It was not my favorite show, but I think it's me primarily because it was kind of rushed, and I felt like I'm a person that's like if I feel it, I can really walk in it. But if I don't, if I'm not feeling it, you're not gonna get the best work. You're not gonna get my best work if I'm not really feeling it. But I think it, like he said, it touches on Black spirituality, what we go through as Black people in the world, how we're looked at, how we're seen. And I also think I'm just in a powerful space within myself as a Black woman. So I just think that I see myself a little bit higher than what the world may see me at. So I think that kind of caused a little bit of risk with my creativity in the show. But I do think it's a very well thought out show. It's very cohesive. All of our shows are very cohesive through and through. I think it's very thorough. And I haven't seen anything like this done in Cleveland the way that we do it. There are, of course, other collectives that are doing amazing things, but I think that we found our own way to really cultivate stories and really tell stories and be able to relate to, our audiences and give them, expand their minds or inspire them to think outside the box when it comes to writing and being creative, the way that we produce those shows. So I really appreciate what we do as a group, how we can even collaborate with just 3 of us or 2 of us or all 5 of us. I like that we're able to, pivot in those ways if need be.
Okay. So starting an organization, starting anything is challenging. It's, you have your uncertainty starting out. Um, and you don't have to have a whole year go by before you realize you've learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So having such a very new organization, talk about, Khalil, what you've learned in this short amount of time putting together Sparrow's Fortune.
I could talk about this for like an hour and a half by myself for real. I think I'll start with the fact that it takes patience more than anything. I talk about it all the time. Like my first idea of Artist Collective really began in 2017. Like that's when I realized, like, no, I want to work with other people. But I'm glad that it didn't happen right there because I wouldn't have had the wisdom or the knowledge or the understanding that it takes to really be in a collective with other people because it's not just me. Like I can have an idea and I can have like, oh, let's do this, but it's not that easy when Morgan's sitting next to me and Morgan like, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Or when it's like planning time and it's like, okay, well, like I can side with Morgan when she talked a little bit about the rushness of some things because it's like, okay, when you're working with a collective of people, that timing comes full circle when it comes to actually working and getting things done. So I learned a lot about having to manage myself, manage my time, manage my capacity to do things, but also it developed me a lot more as a leader to be able to recognize other people's capacity, to be able to recognize the abilities and recognize a difference between someone's potential and their purpose. Like there is some things that, again, I wouldn't ask Morgan to do because I know Morgan like, okay, she can do it, but does she thrive in that area? And being mindful of those types of things, it has excelled us greatly because we've been able to, like Morgan said, recognize our strengths and recognize our areas of improvement and work through those areas to help each other excel more individually, but also help each other excel more as a collective too. So I'll say over this past year, I've definitely learned a lot more when it comes to leadership, but also a lot more when it comes to managing people and being present for them too. Because I think a lot of times, as what most people would call like the head of an organization, it's easy to allow my ego to get in the way or allow, oh, y'all doing this this way, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? But be mindful of what it means to be in the field with the people I'm working with, to be in the field with Morgan when something when she can't make a rehearsal, it's like, okay, how can we manage this to make it a little bit better for all of us to be present? Okay, sometimes we can't meet in person. Let's talk. Let's do it on the phone. You know what I mean? So being mindful of getting creative with adversity. That's what it's taught me. To get creative with adversity. That's the best way to put it.
I like that. Creative with adversity. Because that automatically right there, it sounds to me like it puts you in a different space for resolving things in a way that is everyone can buy into, and looking forward to trying to avoid, disputes and all of that, and even when we do in the future, how we're going to come together to make it, push through and get to the next level. So again, Morgan, you talked about you joined with Khalil in doing the Sparrow's Fortune because you always want to be a part of a collective. So now joining and being a part of a collective, what have you learned? And let me add this: why did you agree to be the co-directing manager?
So, Khalil is extremely patient. That's one thing I'll say. He's patient with everybody, part of the group. Me, I'm a little bit more like stern. Like I'm a stickler. I'm a stickler. So for me, I think that one of the biggest things that I've learned is just looking up from the outside in. When you say you want to be a part of a group, seeing like when you put that mission and that vision down. Do you really want to be a part of the group, or do you just want to be, are you really for the Sparrow's Fortune, or are you just a member who says that they're a part of the Sparrow's Fortune? And I feel like you make a decision of whether or not you want to be just a member, or do you want to be the Sparrow's Fortune? Like, is this something like you would tattoo on you to say like, oh, I'm doing the work, like I'm in the field? And that's really something I think that a lot of the time as artists, when you're doing anything creative, you have to do things through and through creative. So you have to handle people creatively. You have to manage people creatively. You have to get creative with the way that you address people and talk to people to, because it's a lot of egos, a lot of as an artist, you have an ego. You want to be competitive. You want to have the most lines. You want to, some people want to have the most lines or be on the stage the most stuff like that. So when I think of what I've learned is just learning how to work well in a group and be compassionate to other people's dreams and passions as well, and learning how to be patient, in which Khalil has taught me how to do that. But like I said, I'm still a little bit stern on that end. And I think with becoming the managing director, I think that for me is just seeing how passionate I am about the work that we do. I think that that's ultimately what I like, seeing how people are impacted. Um, when you're in front of an audience of 50, 60 people, you see how you get to see the whole audience. It's not they're all looking at you, one person, but you're looking at you get to see all of the faces, all of the reactions, and I just love that we are being able to impact people in that way, and by being ourselves and telling the truth about what we went through and our vulnerabilities. And I think that I love seeing that, and I love being able to, even with our writing workshops, I love the conversations we're able to have and go further and talk well into depth about that you don't just have on a regular basis. I appreciate that, because a lot of the time we're so on the surface that we don't really know how people are doing. We'll ask them how they're doing. We all automatically just say, good, I'm well. Those types of things. But once you really get to, in our writing workshops, we're able to undress ourselves and peel our layers back to be able to say I'm actually, been going through a lot right now. I'm actually just feeling a little depressed about my financial situation, whatever may be going on in their lives, with relationships or anything, and being able to say hey, somebody talk about, having a poor relationship with their parents or something like that. That's not something that's, you know, I think a lot of the time we get to this point where we think like I'm the only person that went through that kind of selfish and the way that we've experienced and so many other people have. They just haven't had the opportunity or the comfortability to be able to voice that. So I think that opening up the spaces that we have and being able to speak into the students' lives and our peers' lives with the writing workshops and the work that we do is has made me more passionate and excited to be the managing director and continue to curate and produce shows and stuff like that. I really love that.
Okay, I need you to talk real quick about Poetry Unplugged.
Okay. So Poetry Unplugged is an open mic experience where we create a platform for artists to be limitless in their expression. So me and my partner Tom Parker, I met him at another open mic at the B-side, and they have theirs every Tuesday evenings, and it was just when you a new artist coming out, B-side is kind of like you gotta have tough skin for B-side a little bit, just because they're not freely giving you their attention. You kind of fight. You gotta fight for their attention.
That's
So when it comes to that, I think that Tom, he was just coming out as an artist, and he was like, I started off at B-side. That was my first time I ever performed back in 2019. So I started going there more frequently after I was to get more comfortable, and it definitely helped me develop tough skin and be able to kind of learn how to control a crowd or get their attention. So I think that definitely great training grounds for me. But we wanted to create. We met up. He asked me to help him with some poetry, and then he was like, "Man, I want to create our own open mic." I'm like, "Let's do it." He's great at speaking with people and connecting with people and networking and stuff like that. So, and then I was already in the poetry realm, so I felt like I've met a lot of poets along the way to be able to say like, "Hey, come to our open mic." So we started back in January 2021. Our first event was a splash. Literally, we had about 50 people there. And our number one rule is respect the mic, because we want artists to feel comfortable and be able to get that attention. You're writing and you're brave enough to come up on the stage. You gotta respect the mic. So we don't do it at loud bars or anything like that. We do it at places where people respect the artists that come up on the stage. Everybody gives them their full undivided attention. We cheer them on. This is not a popularity contest where you got to be the best or you. I don't see myself as the best. I don't see anybody under me or above me. I see everybody as my peer. So when I think about you, as long as you're confident, you're coming on that stage, even if you're nervous, you're still a little bit confident because you got up there. So we created it for artists to be limitless and say whatever they feel like saying. Even if you're coming up there saying, "Hi, cool, I hate my job and I want to quit," that's good enough for us. Or you want to tell us what you do in the community or what if you have a business or anything like that. So it's it's an open mic experience. So we singers, rappers, poets, spoken word artists, playwrights, dancers, however you express yourself creatively can come up. Also, we have networking opportunities during our intermission. So we provide that to be able to create and be able to make those connections so that artists can collaborate with other artists like we do at the Sparrow's Fortune, as well as it's so much more you can do when you do it together.
Let me do this. I want to wrap up real quick. And what I would like to wrap up with is something that's very, very important to me as my mission for BlackAnthropy, which is in addition to what Khalil and Morgan just talked about is what their passion is. And that's what BlackAnthropy is about, is what people have a passion for and that passion is impacting individuals, families, and communities. And today, I think that we focused a lot on inspiration. These two individuals as poets and spoken word artists provide a lot of inspiration to take something that you love and take it to the next level. But what I want to talk about is, I want you all to talk about very briefly is what pays your bills and allows you to have that comfort zone of being able to do the Sparrow's Fortune. Khalil, you can go first, please.
So my heart is educating people. So of course with this Sparrow's Fortune, I do creative writing. Well, we do creative writing workshops, but I work at the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. And even through there, I build curriculum and programs where we can go into the schools and teach students the basis of social justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and create safe spaces for those students within those classrooms. And I love it. I've been doing that work for a while now. I love being able to work with young people and see the light bulb go off. That's like my favorite thing, seeing the light bulb go off with young people.
I'm going to interject here real quick because I love when a young person say they like helping young people. Because, it's like, I'm old. I like helping younger people, right? I love when I hear somebody, young say, I like helping younger people. Go ahead, Morgan.
So I teach, I work at CHN, Cleveland Housing Network.
Let me say this, and I want you to, in a nutshell as you can, when you talk about what your title is, talk about how you got there. Okay. Because I think that's a very important story. Again, if I wrote your story for a news article, I wouldn't be able to fit all that in.
Yeah. So prior to, I was a single parent mom. I faced homelessness as a young mom, and really just didn't learn in my household how to pay bills on time. Just had poor money management skills. I was spoiled. My dad took care of all the bills. They didn't talk about how you pay bills or anything like that. I just know the bills are paid. And once I experienced that, I feel like God just opened up the doors for me to be able to really learn and go through the process of him just really writing my story. And when it came to that, after facing homelessness, I really started paying attention to my credit. And a lot of the time, we as Black people are scared to look at our credit. Once we know that we got some things on there, we're scared to look at it. So I went and got help. And where I went to go get help was with my another business partner of mine. His name's Mike Howard. And he helped me with my credit. And they had an opportunity for you to teach financial literacy in schools for ages 8 to 18 years old. I joined a program, and then I started teaching the financial literacy, volunteered to teach financial literacy around schools in Northeast Ohio. Once I did that, I started helping other people with their credit. Once I was able to get my credit to the point and learned about the processes and that. And then, eventually I started, prior to that, I worked at a bank and and then after that I worked at, pay, receivables and accounting, just doing a lot of stuff like that for different companies. And then with my background in financial literacy during the pandemic, I was like, it's time for me to get a 9 to 5. I was helping people with credit with my own business prior to, and then people couldn't afford to pay for the credit services. So I applied for CHN, and then I started working as their financial capabilities counselor, and eventually got my housing counselor license and certification, and then became the home buyer education counselor. So my story has just made a full 180 or 360 from going to homelessness to being a housing counselor. And with that, I'm teaching adults how to obtain housing, how to obtain down payment assistance and closing cost assistance, and being able to get them into their first houses. And we think that we have to have, we think it's a lot of times we think that it's impossible to purchase a home due to our backgrounds. And I feel like through the class I'm able to teach you that it doesn't take that much, and it's something that is attainable once you put in the work and you open your mind to really following that goal and making it something that you really want to do. So I love my job, my 9 to 5, but I also want to say that poetry and being an author and spoken word artist can pay the bills. You just got to put yourself out there too. So.
Well, I greatly appreciate your meeting you, Khalil, and you agreeing to come on the show, talk about your writing and what you all do. I think being able to write and express yourself and tell your story is so impactful because everybody has a story to tell, and people aren't comfortable telling it. And so the last thing I want to do is tell us where people can find you on social media, on the internet.
Y'all can find me on Instagram. That is just.c.o.s. But you can also check out my website, justcuz, JUSTCOS902.com. There you can find my book. You can find out all about us. And then you can also hit up The Sparrow's Fortune on Instagram at The Sparrow's Fortune, on TikTok at The Sparrow's Fortune, and our website, thesparrowsfortune.com.
Also, you can find me at Morgan P. Shorts on Instagram. You can also follow Poetry Unplugged at poetry.unplugged, and you can also go on the website at www.poetryunplugged.co.
Hello, producer here. Hello. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming in. And I know she said that she's going to leave off with your information, but there is no way on this planet that you can come in here and talk about all that poetry and one of you two not spit some out. So if one of y'all, please.
Thank you for that, producer. That's why she lady producer. I don't call her Marie. I call her lady producer.
You want to do? We can do boxes. You want to do boxes?
Yeah, we can do that.
So, I guess in spirit of the Sparrow's Fortune, we could do one of the poems that we did for the show. Actually, it go like, yeah, we gotta find it. We ain't did this show in a while.
Good call, producer.
I'm gonna just no, I'm not gonna do that because I can't read. I can't read right. When I read up other people's phones. All right. It go like they pushed us into boxes, packaged our hearts, taped our mouths, forgot to mark us as fragile, and we got sent into this world alone.
Where we ended up, clearly we had no destination. We just let our minds wander. We've grown through experiences, people, places, never really settled to a home.
But ain't that what makes a traveler anyway? A soul willing to wind up just about anywhere? We must have been destined for us to create our own destinies, despite the darkness we've been deserted in. Cause now we be daredevils, no longer afraid to be destitute. It ain't like we ain't been down below before.
It ain't like we ain't crawled through the mud, traveled through hell with no water. It ain't like we haven't starved before. Somehow we the one without lost everything and still managed to have more. How about that for survival? Have you ever subsisted in the wilderness and got the nerve to talk about what y'all would have did? See, our dirt still leaves a residue. No matter how many times we clean ourselves up, our pain still leaves a stain. Our past still clings on to us.
And still we rise, and still we hold our heads up high, and still we choose humility over pride, and still we shine, as bright as the sun midday, as bright as the full moon at high tide, and still we ride waves in the depths of the night, cause what can drowning do to someone who learned how to swim through misery?
We've waded through currents unseen. We are the product of mystery, the unfathomable. Sometimes it feels like you've known us to our capacity, so it's really vital you learn our history, to bring clarity to our rarities, to track all the doorsteps we've arrived at, to see all the hands that have opened us and used us to gain some sort of understanding of why we can't just lie dormant or be possessed.
Our souls weren't meant to be packed and sealed. Our purpose is priceless. What do we look like being sold or selling ourselves out for the sake of anyone else's visions of who we are? We learned a little too late that we were too big to fit in boxes, but then again, maybe it was right on time. Maybe it took being battered and bruised. Maybe it took being misunderstood and misused. Maybe it took being sent to the wrong address again and again and again to finally be sick and tired of only being seen at the surface and admired from afar. We always knew we would be much more.
So more is what we are. What are boxes to giants?
Stair steps.
They're the means to us finding our way. The very reason we are who we are today, all of our potential cooped up in the four walls, we finally decided that our arrival wasn't going to be tracked down by anybody else's expectations of us. We just decided to arrive and arrive well. We just decided to be and be well. We just decided to do and do well, and that is how we deliver. That is how we fulfill our orders, and this is how we supply needs.
Cause we be We be what the world needs. The nuances between now and forever. We found our niche in the folds of these pages. We perfect our craft as we pursue our path. We patiently waited for time to tell us how to solve all of this fragmented math. We went to class. We studied from dawn until dusk, and somehow it still wasn't enough. But then we had come to comprehend that maybe time just wasn't for us. That's why we be timeless.
Woo! That's what we need to kick off our week, right? Thank you all again. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much.
There you go.
All right, we gotta take a picture real quick.
Thank you so much. This is so good.
I'll be in contact with you all. I'll be in contact with you.
Okay.
Good call, Marie.
Yeah, that
Talking about
was
website,
Yeah.
Instagram. Get the most important thing.
Actually,
Spit of support.
My skin is black.
You take some dope pictures, Marie. My God.
Thank
I ain't even
you.
taking pictures. Your pictures so dope.
Thank you.
Has violence happened to you, a family member, or a friend? Know that violence can affect all parts of your life, sometimes in ways you can't see. Violence can affect the way you eat, sleep. It causes you to lose focus, feel angry, afraid, or even use drugs or drinking as a way to escape. But we're here to tell you that violence doesn't have to keep hurting, and you can change your life starting now with help from the Trauma Recovery Center. We want you to take control of your life because today can be the day. The Trauma Recovery Center offers real help for real needs in real time. They offer services for food, clothes, safety, emotional support, and a whole lot more. So listen, don't let violence control you. You can break free, and TRC can help. Give them a call at 216-644-5487. They will come to you wherever you are. They are free, 24/7, and confidential. They can give you the tools to rebuild your life and your health. So look, if you want out and don't know where to start, call the Trauma Recovery Center. The Trauma Recovery Center will help you take back your life after violence starting today. Call today. Get the help you need today. The number again is 216-644-5487. I can't say it enough. They can give you the tools to rebuild your life and your health. If you're listening and if you're watching the numbers on the screen, 216-644-5487. The Trauma Recovery Center of Northeast Ohio, also affiliated with the Center for Families and Children. And now, back to coffee with BlackAnthropy.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Coffee back with BlackAnthropy. And again, our mission, our next guest checks all of the boxes for what BlackAnthropy is about. Shining a black light on people, nonprofit organizations, for-profit businesses, and entrepreneurs who are impacting the community, individuals, and families by providing knowledge, resources, and information. And my next guest, he checks all of these boxes, and that's why he was one of the first people that I thought about when I started BlackAnthropy, and was praying that he would be able to come on the show and talk about the work that he does. Use this one. Jock Smith is the program manager for the Black American Council at the local community college here in Cleveland, Cuyahoga Community College, also more widely known as Tri-C. Jock, would you please tell us what the Black American Council is, when it started, and why this organization is so important?
Thank you so much. Yes, the Black American Council is a program that was started initially for black faculty and staff of Cuyahoga Community College, Tri-C, in 1969. The goal was to make sure that they were fairly and equally treated as their counterparts. And over the years, in which the Black Caucus is still thriving today as an employee resource group, the Black Caucus is still a part of the college, but the Black American Council came out of that in 2015, whereas our focus was primarily on making sure our students had the tools they needed to succeed academically and personally while they thrive at Cuyahoga Community College. Still focusing on different things with our faculty and staff, it was more of an emphasis on students and their success and making sure that they were matched with a mentor while they were on campus, while they were in college, which some in those mentoring capacities have continued on to after college. So our goal is to make sure our students are connected and have that person while they're at Tri-C and beyond.
Marie, my mic, is it working?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're really good. Yeah.
Jock, tell me one thing I like about the mission of the Black American Council is, the program is obviously there to help the students.
Yes.
But the one thing that stood out to me is a big part of your mission is also to continue to help the mentors, the faculty and the staff that become mentors in their growth and development. Talk about that, please.
Yes. So as far as the mentors who work for the college, who serve as our staff and faculty who serve as our mentors to our students who are our mentees, Yes, through our employee resource group, we also have a mentoring component with that to make sure our faculty and staff are taken care of. And if there's anything going on with them, we want to take care of them so that they can take care of others. It's a BAC, the Black Caucus, if you will, is a well-rounded machine. And we make sure that we're all doing well so that we can thrive well. And being as a former graduate of the college, I graduated from Tri-C as well. So to be both also, and I was a part of the Black Caucus when I was a student. So to also now be almost 24 years as an employee of the college, to see that side of it is just amazing because I was very well taken care of as a student as well as an employee of the college, and I am to this day.
So talk about your experience participating as a mentee. How did you find out about the Black Caucus at that time? And what made you say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be a mentee in this program?
So, very good question. And I actually just saw my mentor recently at a Cavs game. She, Rita McKinley, who I uplift so much, she stopped me in my tracks at Eastern Campus. I was in school, but I was not there, if you understand. And she saw me and she said, I need you to stop what you're doing and focus on why you're here. And she just talked to me and made me feel welcomed at the college. She was over student engagement, student life, and she told me all the energy I'm putting into making people laugh and doing different things on campus. I could do that as on student government. I could do that as a student leader, and I needed to come to her office. And not knowing then that she was doing the work of a mentor through the Black Caucus, and she said, I'm going to help you get to your next level in life. And lo and behold, she knew my parents. So it became, okay, I know your mom and daddy now. So it became a family affair with us as far as, making sure that I was connected all around. But she also made sure that I stayed focused. She read my papers. She before I turned them in, she started making sure that I was doing testing hours, and if I needed help with something, I met with my professors. She just became that mom, that person away from home while I was in college, and actually got me on track because I went to Tri-C. I initially started at Kent State, and my parents were like, after that first quarter back then, they were like, come on back home. And so I went to Tri-C kind of like, okay. And so I didn't go there with the right mentality, if you will. I just had to go to school, and my parents were like, if you don't move back home, you're going to college. So I went to Tri-C, not, really focused, if you will, just knowing that I needed to go to college still while I was working. My parents said, if you come back home, you're going to work and you're going to college. And so I went to Tri-C, and it turned into definitely where my future began. That's our logo, where futures begin. It really became my future began that January of 1991 when I got focused and met my mentor, Rita McKinley. She stopped me and just, said, I see you all the time in the hallways, and you're always laughing and dancing and having a good time. We need that energy to go on other levels as far as making you the man that you are here to be. Okay. And she got me together, and I've been with her ever since. And I will say, as she retired from the college, she actually retired out of our department.
And so what did you do? So once you finished at Tri-C, and Tri-C is a community college, so then you go on to a 4-year college or university after that. So then what made you come back to Tri-C and get involved with BAC?
Yes. So being at Tri-C Community College, we're very connected with Cleveland State University and many other institutions. But there was a direct connection with my major. I went into Associate of Arts, but I was really highly interested in journalism and communications. So I did a tour to Cleveland State University Mass Communications Department while I was a student at Tri-C. And Ms. Rita, she got me connected with that. And so I did a tour of the Mass Communications building at Tri-C, and I stayed connected, and I applied and was accepted. Upon graduation, all my credits transferred over. I went in as a junior at Cleveland State, and it just, it's like the education continued. The journey that I was on at Tri-C continued on to Cleveland State. I met Professor Austin Allen at Cleveland State in the communications department. He was like my connection, if you will, to a Black faculty member at Cleveland State. So I felt like I had that connection there. Dr. Henry Young, who's an employee of the college now at Tri-C, back then he was a student, I believe he was a student teacher at Cleveland State. he was a connection of mine, one of my favorite professors at Cleveland State. And he spoke, he did speech communications, which he still does at Tri-C. And I stayed connected with Dr. Young, Austin Allen, and I just was connected there. And it continued my journey into communications. And I just knew that leaving Tri-C, I needed to continue. It was like, nah, I couldn't stop. And Ms. McKinley, Rita, she made sure of that. She said, okay, now don't just stop here. You've been accepted, go. And then I also, while I was at Tri-C, back then I also became a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Oh, wow.
So back then they took 2-year institutions. And so my journey within the fraternity started at Tri-C, and I was able to continue that at Cleveland State as well, which was our charter school. So I was already a member of the fraternity, doing things actively at Cleveland State, kind of. So it just continued on. So it was like the right path for me to continue on my educational journey at Cleveland State. And then upon graduation from there, well, actually, when I graduated from Tri-C, to answer your question, I said I'm gonna come back here. I said this place has changed my life so much because I came here. I came here really just on the rebound of Kent. Didn't do too well at Kent, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Tri-C. And I said, I just took a leap of faith, and it changed my life. I became student of the week. I started getting student of the year. I was again student government with Ms. McKinley. I mean, just everything changed. My whole life, my whole outlook on education, college education, just changed. And so I said, when I graduate with my BA and I can come back to Tri-C, I'm going to work here, and I want to be a part of the Black Caucus because I want to be a mentor, like Ms. McKinley was to me, like how I saw many of the members of the Black Caucus, how they helped our students, my friends. They all became successful. I think of State Meredith Turner. She was with me at Tri-C, and I see how we had mentors and things through. Through the Black Caucus. So I said, if I ever graduate from Cleveland State, or when I graduate from Cleveland State, and I see an opportunity, I'm gonna apply to be an employee of Cuyahoga Community College, and that's how I did. Tri-C is my second job out of college. My first job was at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, and I was an employment specialist there for a year and a half, and then I went into their programs called Rising Tide Initiative as a program assistant. And then went on. I saw an opportunity at Tri-C, and I ran. And I applied, and got the call. I've been there ever since.
Okay, so now talk about what you do in the community, because there's two parts of BAC.
Yes.
You've got to get in the community to get the people in the school.
Right.
Where you can have more consistent contact with them, and then talk about once you get them in the school. How you use your programs to help them like you were helped.
So I work closely with our recruiters when they do different events. We do tables throughout the community. We do any events that come on campus. We have a registration table or information table, if you will, about Black American Council. I do a lot of speaking at different events throughout the community, different things just to uplift and show how the Black American Council if you want to be a part of the organization, once you become a student at Tri-C, we're here for you. And yes, we were founded by Black faculty and staff, and we serve as primarily students of color, but we're open to all students because we want to make sure everyone has the tools they need to succeed academically. Yes, most of our students are of color, but we are open to all. And our mentors are not just Black; they're of all races and ethnicities, and so we're very thankful for that because we have a pool of students and faculty and staff that are all together to make sure we have that person for that student and do well at Tri-C. So we do a lot to work with our recruiters. We make sure our materials are in the high schools, in their packets. We have a welcome letter that comes out to students as they apply. We do a lot to make sure that they know how to get in touch with us at BAC. And most importantly, our main point with the Black American Council is to provide a mentor, just to help students, even if it's just an encouraging word before an exam. And we say that, if you just need somebody to talk to, we're here. And that's how we have been connected. And that's how we have over 300 some odd plus students now, college-wide. And getting ready to celebrate over 40 graduates this coming May. So,
okay.
Out of our program.
So talk about the 3 different programs that you all have, right now, like your Minority Male Leadership Academy, your Black Scholars Academy, and Choices. Talk about what those programs are.
So the Minority Male Leadership Initiative is that we work on leadership. We talk about different things to help our men stay focused, as far as we go over job readiness skills. We just talk about life as men. We we had a lot more things that we offer pre-pandemic, if you will. A lot of things now are virtually that we do. We do offer in person as well, but our goal is to make sure our men are connected and have an outlet, if you will, while they're in college, to talk freely. Just if they have any questions, if they need to prepare for an interview, they need help with obtaining attire for an interview, whatever. We talk about just life as men in college and staying connected and the importance of earning their degree and being that example for not just themselves but those who are in their lives. So we talk about everything when it comes to men. We have barbershop talks, and we literally talk like we're in a barbershop. We have fireside chats with our men, and we just make sure, again, that they have the tools they need to succeed academically and personally. Our students deal with so much, male and female. They deal with so much, but yet carrying 3.5, 3.7, 4.0 GPAs, yet, not knowing what's going to be on the meal table that night. So we deal with a lot, and we make sure that they see if they need help, we got you. We have your back, BAC. And so as far as that's for our men. We have our Minority Male Leadership Initiative and our Black Scholars Academy. Then we have Choices, which is primarily for our women, and it's all about their choices in life. It's a great program that we definitely make sure that is uplifting our women and just talking to them as well to make sure that they have the tools they need to succeed and just stay connected with Tri-C and life because we both, as I was saying with our men, everything takes over. Sometimes life can take over academically can take over life, and we need that balance. Choices presents programming to help them with that, to make sure that they stay, that they can still handle things that they're going through, that even if they feel that they can't, Choices is the program that says you can. And Ms. Beverly, who's over our program, she does an excellent job of providing different resources, different real life stories of success to our female students to let them know that, they're not alone and they can achieve and they can do anything that they put their mind to. So Choices is an excellent program for our ladies, as well as our Minority Leadership Initiative, Minority Women's Leadership Initiative, which is also for our ladies, led by Dr. Tony Pickens, which also focuses on different things for our ladies in our program and just making sure that they, they have a voice and they have a vision while they're in college. Both of those programs are great for our ladies, and our ladies attend. And we're very, very pleased with the success rate of both programs within BAC.
And so, how do you all match up the mentee and the mentor? What is the process for that? And please also incorporate in there, how do you all, and at what point do you all incorporate what the mentee is saying about the mentor?
So we do our best to match our mentors and mentees on an expertise level. Like if someone's majoring in recording arts and technology, we try to find a mentor that's in that field, that's working there. Sometimes that does not work because just, we want to make sure because we have as many mentors as we have mentees. We don't have as many mentors as we do mentees. Some of us, like myself, have 3 and 4 mentees. But we found that many of the mentors, they may not be in the area of expertise or the discipline that the student is going into, but their heart is there, and they want to be that person for them, and they want to talk to them and make sure that they're, guiding them and they're helping them with their professional career path. So a lot of our mentors could be from whatever area, but their goal is to make sure that they're there and that person for that student. So, but what we do is we make sure our mentors are on the same campus as the student, so that they can go to them if they're on campus, if they need them. They can go to an office, they can arrange office hours, face-to-face meetings, you name it, coffee, lunch, however. So we do make sure our mentors and mentees are on the same campus. But sometimes it's hard to match as far as area of expertise. But we do match with have them on the campus so that they can meet at any time that works for them. And whenever we have our mentor, we have a mentee toolkit and we have a mentor toolkit. The mentee toolkit breaks down how to interact with your mentor. It gives a 15-week breakdown, 15-week system, how to break down meeting with them, an email, a phone call, how to interact. Because sometimes some people just, I have a mentor, I don't know how to reach them, I don't know what to say when they do reach out to me. How do I respond? but we give them a step-by-step guide as to how to respond to the email, how to make the first contact, and how to thrive in the relationship with your mentor, and same with your with the mentor as well.
Now, that is so interesting that you ended where you did, talking about that relationship, because one thing that is very impressive to me when I look at the BAC website is it is so easy to get a snapshot of what you all do in each of your programs, and it doesn't go. Each of these things, nothing on your website just goes on and on and on and on.
Right.
It really encapsulates in a, very quickly what the program is, how it functions, how it'll help you. And the thing that I like after that, since you all have laid that information out, I like the applications that you have for everything are very simple. It doesn't ask you all of these questions that you have to do all of this deep thinking about and all of this deep recalling about. And again, that's what BlackAnthropy is about, is showing people how to get knowledge and resources. And the BAC website is very good for someone who wants to start a similar program, because it is just very plain language. And that's not something that should be taken for granted, because when you're talking about doing a mentee-mentor relationship, the program is really for the mentee, and you really want people to be able to see it, get the information and understand it. Because sometimes, the information can be so overwhelming. Then I gotta click here, then I gotta click here, then I gotta call this person. But your program is, I like, you don't have a million people on your website to contact. It's you and Brianna.
Yeah, or Ms. Jones, right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that. Means a lot to me to hear you say that, because we wanted it not to be overwhelming. We didn't want it to have a whole bunch of information on there to the point where someone's like, I'll get back to it, or I'll come back to it. We wanted it to hit it right there. As soon as they see it, what the mission is, what we're doing, how to apply, how to, how the mentor program works. We have an internship and job shadowing experience through our PNC cohort, which Ms. Whitlock is over, Brianna Whitlock. So it's right there, and you just click on the tabs. And we wanted it very user friendly. Like you said, we didn't want people coming on like, oh boy, how do I just reach somebody? And so I thank you for saying that, because that was our goal with our webpage, is to make it not overwhelming and just like so much information that, we want you to call us. We want you to talk to us. We can tell you everything. We can give you some bullet points and give you, the applications there. But let's talk. Let's see what you want. And that's our goal with our webpage. We do give you information and ways to contact us and apply, but reach out to us as well.
And that's one thing that, again, why BlackAnthropy was started is because, again, not being able to fit all of this type of information in an 800, 1,500 word article, and because I see so many organizations doing like what BAC has done, which is to model the organization off the people you're trying to serve, rather than almost serving yourself and saying, we have a program, and if you don't fit this box and this box and this box, then we just can't help you.
Right.
And I think that that's very important, and I think that that's something you all do. Now, I would like for you to talk about that PNC cohort program, because I really like the way that's even broken down, where it's not intimidating and you give people options, but not too many options. And I like that you all have the job shadowing.
Yes.
Then you all have the micro internship, and then you have the internship. Yes. And that's very important for people to see that I don't have to commit to a whole full-blown internship if I have other responsibilities. Right. Please talk about those.
We wanted that, yes. Brianna Whitlock, who's over our PNC cohort, which PNC, we have a grant that was funded through PNC to help our students with different internship and job shadowing experiences to get that experience. And I agree. I think it's very good that we have different options for our students as far as employment and looking into things. They may not know exactly what they want to do, but the job shadowing experiences gives them, different things they can choose from. And it's paid. It's $75 per job shadowing, and then you get different levels with your micro internship and your full internship experience. But I love the fact that we have you may not know what you want to do, but this job shadowing experience helps you explore that while you're here at Tri-C. And it's really helped. Our students have really benefited from that because they're in fields now that they didn't even think that they were going to, they had any interest in based upon that job shadowing experience. And it's changed career sites for some, career paths, I would say, for some students. The full internship is just that. It's a full internship. It gives you the full experience of that, and hopefully from there you can be gainfully employed. Because you can, work at some places while you're in college as well, or work towards having something once you get your degree. So yes, the micro internship the full internship is the whole time throughout the semester. Micro internship, it may be a little extension with some things or smaller things, I should say, as far as an internship. It may not be the full, say, 16-week internship. It could be a smaller 10, 11-week assignment. So we just do everything we can to give options to students to succeed professionally, and then which works, like you said, personally. Not everyone can commit to 30-plus hour a week job commitment on top of full-time schedule and class and home and everything. So we know that and we recognize that. But through this program that we're so thankful to have, we've been able to offer those different experiences and different levels to students so that they can just explore and see where they are and see what's best for them. And if they reach out to us and they work with us and they meet the criteria that's on there, again, on our application, we got you and we'll work with you. And the college does a great job of finding employment opportunities for our students, making sure they're career ready. Sometimes, they might need a little brushed up on, on the resume or some interviewing techniques, and we do that as well. We work on job readiness skills, you name it, just to make sure our students are prepared now and beyond.
And again, this is, such a really well thought out program for getting students jobs, because I picked up on this in about 2006, and I said the days of working the same job 20, 30, 40 years is over. And so to have it where you can do these micro internships, where you can do job shadowing, because you may think that you want to do a particular job or go in a particular industry or profession, but then once you get there, you think like, wow, this is different than what I thought. And so to give students that opportunity and to have the program where the mentor and the BAC is involved with working with the school and employers to say, is this person a good fit? And if this is something that you like, then these are the things that you need to do, again, sort of like what happened with you.
And that goes hand in hand with that because the mentors are now doing reference letters. They write reference letters for jobs. Because they have that experience of working with you and they know you as a student, and it becomes a personal relationship. I mean, again, like I said, my mentor has definitely, done something that has impacted my life. She's been with me over 30 years, if you will. I can call on her right now, and say, Rita, I need a letter. Okay. So it's great. And it's, like you said, we work with that job shadowing and the micro internship and internship pieces. But if you need that reference letter, we have that as well because you have your mentor that you can go to. And your mentor works with you. And they'll say, okay, I see that you're working, but okay, let's look at this. Did you do your assignment? Have you filled out have you looked at your syllabus as you're also trying to make sure that you're working here because we want to make sure you hit that end goal, which is that graduation as well as working. So the mentor looks at the whole student, and that's what I like about BAC. They don't just focus on a certain aspect. They look at the whole student so that they achieve what they want and what they need.
And again, the power of this program, of the power of the BAC, the Black American Council, and why this program was created, and why I am so glad that Jacques agreed to come on this show is because this is sort of what I hear athletes and rich people talk about a lot. That they're like really uninterested in someone who's not a multimillionaire talking to me about how to be a multimillionaire. And like what you just explained, I think in any professional setting, any setting that you're in, whether you're a student, being able to talk to someone who was a student, someone who has an interest in seeing you successful as a student, That's the same with, and Charles Barkley is really who comes to mind. He talks about this a lot with how athletes should handle their money.
Yes.
And who they should deal with. You need to talk because you know who you're talking to. They've never been famous. They've never done all of these things.
You gotta know how to
And
manage
so-
your finances, you gotta know how
right.
to manage life. On top of all that fame, you got Charles Barkley is good with that. And that's kind of like, not to interrupt you, but that's pretty much like how we are.
That's the point.
Yeah,
is
I
that
always
the way
say
you're
that-
structured?
yeah.
You're an institution of education and completing that education, and we're the experts, and
Right.
we've done it.
And it comes from the top. I'm very fortunate to say our leadership, Dr. Michael Baston, who's our 5th president of the college, and our provost, Dr. Karen Miller, we have a vision for making sure our students are connected and they have what they need. And it trickles down to, yes, through BAC and many other programs. I'm particularly speaking about BAC, but many of the programs that are offered at the college are all about making sure the students are connected and have what they need. But it comes from the top down. And if you are connected with us, we are connected with you. We look at everything that you need, and if we can't help you in our area, the great thing I like about Tri-C, we have a great handshake policy. We will connect you with a resource within the college to help you. If you can't, afford a book, you come to us. If we can't help you, we'll find something. We'll find a way. I've had many students say, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to do it. And then they'll come back and say, thank you for that referral. I'm back in class. I'm in class. I got my books. I'm doing this. Thank you. So we do everything. And again, we look at the whole student. We talk about everything from dining etiquette, business etiquette. We talk about everything because we know students, they have so much going on. And yet they're trying to do the best they can. And that's what we do. We work in the best interest of the students. And we've done that through the Black Caucus, Black American Council since 1969, and through Tri-C since 1963 when we were first started.
Talk about how many students you all get in the program each semester, and then talk about how many students you all just help who are not in the program, but like you say, I need help, I'm out because I don't have books,
Right.
I don't have this.
Very good question. So we try to take on as many students as we can. I will say, and be honest with you, and just like with any institution of higher education, the pandemic hit us hard. I had many students, Mr. Smith, I'll be back when y'all come back. Stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know when we're coming back, but you're still going to get that degree. So we're going to work with you. We got to get a laptop to you. I'll meet you on the court. We'll get you. So we did all we could to make sure our students were connected virtually, to make sure that they did, have what they needed during the pandemic. And now that we're still within the pandemic, we've got a little bit more things that we're working with now. And our students are very much connected. We've seen our numbers I can say during the pandemic, we had like 121 students. We're now over 300 students. And they're coming out to us. They're reaching out to us because they see what the Black American Council has done. They look at our webpage and they see different things and they see what we can do as far as scholarship, emergency, different things that we can help with books and funds and stuff. So they reach out to us. But most importantly, they reach out for that person. So that if something's going on, they need help, they can talk to someone. So our goal is to take on as many students as we can. Again, we want to make sure we match them with a mentor. So we do our best to not over assign a mentor to a mentee or whatever. We try to do no more than 3 mentees per mentor. It's very that can be a little challenging, but we work with it, and our students have that person. So, and what you were saying as far as BAC is for people who signed up to be a part of the Black American Council, students who are a part of Black American Council, but we have reached students who are not a part of Black American Council because our programs, even our PNC cohort, those are things that are offered to all students. And if they choose, our goal is for them, if they receive benefits from, or if they're benefited by having the opportunity like a job experience through BAC, join us. Don't just take the job and say, okay, thank you. No, become a member. And so we've gained some members through that as well, because we offer our internship experience to it's college-wide, if you will. BAC specific events and different things, those are for our mentees, but we do offer things college-wide, which we are able to obtain more mentees through that.
And one thing I do want to bring out here that is important in this conversation is Tri-C Cuyahoga Community College has 4 campuses, or it has the 3 campuses, but the Eastern campus has 2 legs of it, right?
Well, corporate colleges
Right.
are over there.
Right.
We have
Eastern campus.
Metro, West, East, and West Shore.
Right.
So 4.
And so talk about how you all connect with, make sure you connect with each of those campuses. And just like the names indicate, Tri-C Metro, where Jock is located, is like right almost outside of downtown Cleveland. And then the West Shore is west, is southwest.
Yes.
Then West Campus is headed towards, West Shore is the one headed towards 90.
Yes.
Headed towards Toledo.
Yes.
Okay, and that may be 20, 25 minutes away from downtown, the Metro campus. Then you got the Southwest, which reaches that population. Then you have the Eastern campus, which is on the northeast side of Cleveland.
Yes.
And talk about how you all make sure you are connecting with each of those campuses and getting students to participate, even though you don't really have a physical office at each of those locations.
Very good question, and thank you for your questions. We are fortunate to have multicultural centers at each campus now. We're housed at the Metropolitan Campus Multicultural Center, again, downtown Cleveland, if you will. And then each campus has a multicultural center. We're connected in there. We're able to be housed in those areas if we need to meet, have events, different things through our multicultural centers. I also have to mention our Hispanic Council, which we say is our sister organization, which is housed at the Western Campus. And we have just as many Hispanic students all around the campuses, so they're expanding as well. They're able to use our area, we're able to use their area in the multicultural centers. So any events that we have, we work throughout our multicultural centers. But we work collaboratively with so many different departments. We have like different events, collaborations and things, so we're featured there all the time. Welcome Week, Student Success Week, so many different things. We make sure BAC is there. So you may not see us in an office, but we're there. Our material is there. We send things out all the time. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you send so many emails." Yes, we do, because we need to make sure you're connected. But we have so many. The blessing of it is, I should say, is that our mentors are on these campuses. So we have mentors at the West Shore, West, Eastern, and Metropolitan Campus. So that helps us to get our word out about BAC and the power of what we're doing.
One thing that I want to talk about is being here in Cleveland. One thing that I noticed, and one reason I continue to take classes at Tri-C, is because Tri-C is just like Metro Health, the county hospital. They have a lot of satellite offices. No matter which Metro Health office I go to, when I walk through that door, hello, how are you? There's someone, a space there with people sitting there waiting to help you and answer your questions. Not with an attitude, not with a flippant attitude. Exactly. And that's why I take courses at Tri-C. I was taking a lot of music courses at West. Yes. And every single person says, hello, how are you? If you walk with a look on your face like you're not sure where you're going, someone, they stop you. They don't walk past you with this look of confusion. And that is at each campus that I go to. That's my BlackAnthropy tangent moment. Mm-hmm. I have these tangents. The show is for the guests to talk about what they do, but I have my tangent moments. Yeah. And that's mine. Tri-C, it really is, when you go there, it just never ceases to amaze me how welcoming and helpful people are.
We have multiple campuses, but we have one college mentality, and that is to make sure that our students are connected. And so if we see someone, or if someone comes to knocking on our door, how are you? We're talking. We're asking how you're doing. Do you need help? We definitely make sure that our students really feel welcomed. And I felt that way as a student, and it's carried over into being an employee. But our goal is to make sure any student that walks through our doors is connected and they have someone that they can go to.
I remember I was taking a music course and something happened where I didn't get registered for the class. and the head of the music department. He said, I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to sit with you because I was a student before and I know how troubling and time consuming this process is. And he actually sat there with me for an hour and a half until I got registered in that class. But enough of my tangent. One thing I want to talk about is I write for the Tri-C student newspaper, The Voice. And Jock, you came up with this idea to have students write for The Voice. And I would like for you to talk about how you came up with that, why you came up with that, and why you think that that's important.
So I have to give credit to Brianna Whitlock as well. We wanted our students to have an additional voice. They have one through BAC, but our students they have a lot to contribute, get off their chest, if you will, and we wanted the power of BAC to be shown through written word. We wanted students to be able to speak about BAC positively and report things as a Black student, if you will, in their experience here at the college. Again, we are open to all students, but we wanted students to feel that they had a voice and they could write about that. There are certain perimeters and things they have to follow as they submit, to the voice. But we want our students, because they were coming to us saying, "Oh, I want to talk about my experience here. I want to talk about how I feel on campus. I want to talk about anything. I want to talk about what I see." It doesn't have to be about the Black American Council. They can talk about something that they see in the classroom, something that they see in the food court. They have that voice, and that's what our column is for them to have that shout out, if you will. That's the column for BAC, and it's that outlet for them to have that voice as a student and to just feel free to be able to share things that they've experienced as a student at Tri-C.
One last thing I'd like for you to talk about is we've talked about what BAC is, how it was started, how it was founded, what the mentor-mentee relationship is, the programs that you all have. But we are talking about connecting with young people.
Yes.
And young people like to party and they like free food. We all like free food.
Yes.
Talk about some of the annual parties and events that you all have every year to again celebrate BAC, celebrate the student, the mentee and mentor relationship.
So I remember when we used to have actual parties on campus. When I was a student there and things, and even prior to the pandemic and things, we used to have events for students to have just a woosah, a moment to just relax and have a good time on campus. Of course, things have changed with that. There's some certain perimeters and things now, but we do offer events for our students to just have that moment. We have holiday events. We have Juneteenth celebrations, Black History Month events, different things just to celebrate living, celebrate how we're doing as people, as students, as friends, faculty, staff, you name it. And we try our best to mesh everyone together so that there's no seclusion. Everyone is together, but our goal is to make sure that our students understand our goal is to make sure that you're connected as a member of BAC and appreciate it. We know it takes a lot for students to be here every day, to attend class and take care of everything else going on in their lives. We try our best to make sure we have something for them to have a little break, if you will. One thing that we do annually is we have our Francis M. Franklin Scholarship Luncheon, which will be on May 5th this year. Francis Mason Franklin was an educator here at Tri-C, I stay here, but at Tri-C, who had a vision to make sure everyone was fairly and equally treated. She was a phenomenal woman, and she was working for the best interests of all, and primarily students of color. So every year we recognize Ms. Franklin at our luncheon, where we recognize students for their academic achievement, their being a mentee. We recognize them for essay. They can perform different things. They can write. They can act. They can sing. They can do anything for essay competitions. And then we uplift our graduates. All of our graduates receive a kente, handmade kente cloth stole with our logo on it, and it's an authentic stole, and they just love it. And we recognize them for their academic achievements, and personal achievements. And we do that every year, every May. And we're looking forward to this year being our first one in person in the last 3 years. We've done it virtually, but this will be our first one in person. So that's one event that it's not so much of a party, but it is a celebration of academics and just where they are as people, as students. But we have a lot of events throughout the year that we work with other departments and celebrating the life of our students, because we know it takes that. It takes time, it takes commitment, and it takes their life. We work for the students, and we want to make sure that while they're working, we're working to make sure that they're taken care of.
Now, this one thing that I do want to make sure I touch on is that I really like about the BAC is, again, the balance between the mentee wants and needs and the mentor.
Yeah.
And the one thing I like that I would like for you to talk about, and again, this is, kind of one of these instructional, informative things that I like to talk about for people that may be looking to start a similar program. I like the options that you all give mentors.
Yeah.
You all don't just say, craft a program and say, you have to fit in here. You all have a laundry list of roles that mentors can serve in. Please list some of those and talk about
our
those.
mentors, like myself and a few other, we kind of almost do like a group mentoring. We come together. Sometimes we have our own. If we see 12, 13 young men meeting, we'll say, okay, let's have a barbershop. Let's have, so we come together. It's no, like, we do have a different toolkit for them to follow. So we make sure that they make it a point to make sure that they communicate with their students, but we don't structure as to how they do it. We want it to be very organic and flowing, so that students feel comfortable and they feel comfortable. Again, keeping within perimeters of making sure that we're not in anybody's personal things and like that. We keep it all professional and academically based. But as far as how you meet with your mentor and mentee, again, it could be at lunch, it could be at breakfast, it could be over FaceTime. It could be, it could be an email. It could be, however. But we want to make sure that they're connected. So we allow our mentors and our mentees to create their best way of working together and working for the best interests of both of them. Because we find that just as much as the mentee needs the mentor needs the mentee too. It keeps them connected to see what's going on as a student. It's one thing. A lot of our mentors we have faculty and staff that serve as mentors, but sometimes we get so busy, we're not in the classroom, we're not seeing what's going on, we're just focused on making sure that everything is going smoothly for the student. But when we have that mentor connection, they say, thank you for this opportunity, but did you all know this is going on too? It helps us to stay grounded and stay focused, and again, make sure that we're working well for our students. So we let them create the best flow of communication between each other, and it works. And then they come together. Our Francis Franklin Scholarship Luncheon is free to our mentees, and that's where a lot of the time our mentors get to come to them, meet family, because we invite family and things to this event. So sometimes it's maybe the first or second time that they've seen their mentor that semester, but it helps with them to just be able to have that relationship, and we let that flow. We let that come together organically, because if we structured everything and if we had you got to do this, you got to do that, it won't happen. At one point we were saying you must, and then we realized no, do it your way, because we don't want to make the student feel like, okay, this is too much, or we don't want the mentor on top of being faculty, staff, working, they got a life too. So we let them work it out. And like for myself and my mentors, they'll text me, Mr. Smith, I'm doing well. I made Dean's List. Or Mr. Smith, can I talk to you? Are you in your office? Things like that. And I'm fine. Text me, and it's got, I one of my mentees right now, I talk to him and his mother. His mother would say, Mr. Smith, whatever you did, keep doing it. she'll text me, and that's fine. And then she became a student. She saw how well we were working with her son. She registered. And she said, if I see what you're doing with my son, and he's 20-some-odd years old, but she was like, he wouldn't listen to me, but I see him taking everything you're saying, and I started looking at some of his assignments, and I started saying I can do it. So she registered. So we are fortunate to say that a lot of our students, it becomes a family affair. We meet the parents, the grandparents, the children of students, and they become students as Tri-C as well. And it just works out all around, and it becomes one big family. And that's what we are, a BAC. You get connected with us, it's a family, and we make sure that you're connected. Again, I can't speak highly enough about like Beverly Owens with Choices and the things that she's done because she's a graduate of the college and how she brought that to to the table. Dr. Tony Pickens with the Minority Women's Leadership Initiative, phenomenal professor and counselor at our Western campus. They bring their personal touch to that. And then myself with Dr. Webb, Terry Webb, and Dr. Lemuel Stewart, and so many others, Dr. Chris Hawkins. We do so much with our young men. We do all we can. We have Black and Brown Male Summits. We do all kinds of things. So again, we take our personal and bring it into reality. And we make sure our students see that. Sometimes when you talk it, they're like, but when they see it and you walk with them and you're right there with them, they feel it and it comes across.
Okay. Well, again, I really appreciate you accepting my invitation to come on the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that someone impacted your life and you used that to give back, play it back, and continue to help others build a program because these are the things that we need to get through these interesting times that we're living in. Yes. We need resources for people. We need people to know that there's knowledge, resources, opportunities out there, and there are a lot of people that have inspirational stories, even though you may not think so by some of the other media outlets that you may listen to. And so
I'll just say a lot of their ideas have given us programming.
Yes.
A lot of the students will come to us about something and we're like, oh, let's talk about this. Gun reform, whatever. Let's talk about it. Because if it's stopping you from even, I have to, we have students that say, I couldn't even focus on my assignment because I got the news. I saw this on my social media feed. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's have a program. Let's bring some people in here with knowledge on this. And that helps us with, staying connected with our students. And that's what I like so much about our mentee and mentors. They'll say, my mentee is going through this right now. What can we do to help them get through this while they're in school? And it helps us so much.
And again, that's why I have individuals talking in their individual capacity about their personal and professional experiences. And it is so important for people to know that there are people out there doing things, making a difference. Right. And that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to consume yourself in one thing and let it overwhelm you. There are a lot of people that are out here providing resources. Find them, take advantage of them. Jock, he works at Tri-C, but you can start your own program. You have a model. I'm sure Jock would have no problem showing you how to walk through setting up your own similar organization. But anyone in especially Ohio or even beyond Ohio, Tri-C is an unbelievable educational institution and experience to have. And I appreciate you coming on. Please tell people where they can find Tri-C online and the Black American Council online and on social media.
Yes, you can visit our website at www.tri-c.edu and to find out anything you want about Tri-C. And within the search engine, you can type in Black American Council and see anything about us. But our direct email would be www.tri-c.edu/BAC. And it goes right to our webpage, and you can see everything about us. And we would love to speak with you or talk to anyone that wants to learn more about Tri-C and definitely about the Black American Council because we do have your back.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome program.
Yeah,
really
thank you
awesome
so much.
program.
Thank you.
My skin is black. My arms are long.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah.
My hair is woolly.
I got training.
My back is
Simone.
strong
Yeah.
enough to take pain.
Sample that. Jay-Z, the story of OJ.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, okay, Jay-Z, he would steal somebody.
My name is Aunt Sarah.
They pulled my freaking sister's birthday.
What?
They pulled Bug's birthday straight yesterday evening.
What was
And I
Bug's
said,
birthday?
I played it.
I didn't play this.
604.
Yeah.
Oh. What?
I mean,
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to BlackAnthropy here on the station where we don't bring no static, but we sure don't bring the noise on staticradio.net. Make sure you guys check us out on social media where we absolutely love to hear from you on Facebook.com/NoStaticRadio LLC, on Twitter at NoStatic_radio, on Instagram at TheReal_NoStaticRadio, and on YouTube at NoStaticRadio. We also accept donations to you guys. Cash App at NoStaticRadio, or at NoStaticRadio, $No Static Radio. Also, if you guys would like to listen to replays of this show and others, check us out on Mixler, Mixcloud.com. Just type in No Static Radio, all one word, in the toolbar for replays of this show and others. And for continuous streaming, check us out on TuneIn.com, LiveOnlineRadio.net, or Media Q for continuous streaming of this show and all others uninterrupted on these platforms, on this platform, and for all things on Static Radio, including up-and-coming events, merchandise, and look at all our great shows here. Please check out our website at www.nostaticradio.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we got the dopest crew in the land with Hustle and Wax Flow here on your voice of the revolution on staticradio.net, powered by Google and sponsored by Lamont Avenue Wines and Hot Girls Gear. You guys stay tuned. We'll be right back.
No, you